Hi, my name is Jamie Lewis. I'm a bass player and producer here in Los Angeles, and today I'd like to show you the dual band optical compressor and limiter pedal made by FEA Labs. Now don't be fooled by its size. This thing packs a lot of features into a small footprint. Probably has more options on it than any stompbox pedal I've ever used or seen. It gives you everything you could probably imagine and a little bit more. Let me show you what it can do. Now as far as features go, this is actually a pretty standard compressor. Right here we have a threshold and a ratio that's going to tell us how much compression we're actually doing. The attack and the release knobs tell the compressor when to turn on and when to turn off. Down here we have a gain knob that offsets the amount of compression that we're doing, and right here we have a switch that goes from compressor to limiter on the low compressor side, which if you don't know what a limiter is, it's more or less great for taming peaks. If you're playing too aggressively, it'll kick it back every once in a while. So this is great for players who sometimes play too hard. Right here we have a high frequency compressor bypass switch, which turns off the high band compressor. Now remember, this is a dual band compressor, so what it does is it compresses the low frequencies and the high frequencies separate from each other. And so you can leave the low one on and the high one off, or kick this switch and now they're both on. Right here's your input, that's where your bass goes, and we have actually two outputs. You can see right here, this one's labeled full and low, and the second one is labeled high. So what you can do is by plugging in one cable, this sends both compressed signals to your bass amp or your mixer or whatever. But if you plug in two channels, just the lows will come out of this one, just the highs out of this one. So you can send it to two channels on a mixing console, or what have you, and that way you can have more control over your two compressed signals. Right here in the center is a crossover switch where you decide where you want the low band compressor to start and the high band compressor to start, and it goes from about 45 hertz all the way up to 1000 or 1K, and you can decide where you want that to be and then compress your signals however you want. Now let me show you how I use this pedal in my setup. What I do is I subtly compress the lows, and I leave the high frequency compressor turned off. The reason why I do this is because I like a deep bass tone. I like a lot of body and boom in the low end, sustaining notes, but I still like to play dynamically. So I leave that high frequency compressor turned off until I want to use more compression, be it because of a solo or a particular song, or I'm going to slap, or whatever it's going to be. I can kick on that compressor, and so this way it lets me play dynamically when I want to with a deep sustained low end, and then when I want to use more compression, I just kick on the high frequency compressor. It's compressed a little bit harder than the low frequencies are. Then I can introduce that compressed sound, and I can turn it off, turn it on whenever I want. Let me show you how I have it set up. Number one, take a look at the crossover. I have it set maybe at about 9 o'clock, a little bit above. I'm trying to isolate the low subsonic frequencies, maybe like 50 or 60 hertz. I've got the attack set pretty low, maybe at about 9 o'clock, and the release set at about 2 o'clock. That's because I want the compressor to turn on really quickly, and I want it to turn off, well, not so quickly, because I'm going for more sustain on the low end here. So again, I'm isolating the subsonic frequencies, and I'm having it sustain a bit longer. The threshold, let me turn it on here. As you can see, the threshold set maybe at about 1 o'clock, and the ratio, I like about 3 to 1, 4 to 1 at the most, but this is a pretty lower ratio. So you can see the compressor light is turning on, and it's doing quite a bit of compressing. It's not turning off yet. There we go. Alright, so it's doing some compressing for sure. Now, let me let you hear the amount of sustain that we're doing here. Here's a low D on a 5-string bass. Okay, compressor's off right now, and you can hear we get about a good 1.5 seconds before the sound disappears. 1,000, 2, 1,000, maybe 2 seconds or so. Now the sound is starting to disappear. With the compression on, I'm going to attack it with the same amount of strength, and listen. It's still there, still pretty strong. If I lay into it a little more, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4. Now it's starting to disappear, right? So we're getting a lot more sustain, and the reason why I like this, a lot of times I play with in-ear monitors. I don't have an amplifier on stage, and so I miss the oomph and the woof from my bass because I'm just using in-ears, which is awesome because you get a great mix, but you kind of miss some of the body of what you're playing. So compressing my low frequencies like this, I can feel that more when I'm just using ears and I don't have an amplifier on stage. And if you would like to hear it, This right here is a dead cable that's not going anywhere. If I plug it into the high output, now you're only hearing the low band compressor. Again, this cable isn't going anywhere, so that's why you're only hearing the lows. So you can really hear what the compressor is doing to that low end. And then, obviously now they're both mixed together. Compressor off. Okay, and now if I want to, you can see the high frequency compressor has been turned on for this whole time. If I want to put it on, I can. Right here I've got the attack set at about the same, and the release is also set for the same as the attack, maybe at about 9 o'clock or so. The threshold is set. You can see the comp line is coming on, and I've got the ratio a little bit higher, maybe 4:1, 5:1, and again the gain is set to offset the amount of compression that I'm doing. And if you listen, I'll have a much more compressed tone when I kick on the compressor. Compressor on, compressor off. So if I want to use more compression, I can turn it on or I can turn it off. Because if you notice, with just the low band on, I've still got some control over my dynamics, much more than with the compressor on. So this right here allows me to play dynamically and then kick on the amount of compression that I want. And you can kind of fine tune it, you know, like for slapping and stuff. I think compression really helps bring that out. If you listen, here's no compression. Compressor on. And we can even fine tune it to get a little bit more of that high end in there. So you can really hear how compression can help shape your sound and make it easier for your lines to stand out. So again, what I love about this pedal is I can have no compression at all, just a little bit of body added, full compression, or back to none at all. So if you have any questions about this pedal, go check out www.fealabs.com. Frank and his brother Glenn are awesome guys. They'll answer any questions that you have, either about the compressor or any other pedal that they make. They make awesome equipment. So go check them out if you're interested. And if you're thinking on adding a compressor to your bass rig, I cannot recommend this pedal enough. It really does everything that I want a compressor to do and a lot more. So take that for what it's worth. I'll see you next time.